Hello everybody, Miss Susan here. Today I'm going to show you how I put together my jute coasters. It's not actually going to be jute rope, it's just a cotton rope. So we're going to go ahead and show you what is included in your kit. You'll have a couple of pieces of rope that are just loosely tied together. Those are going to make two separate coasters. So let's just start with one of the ropes. And this particular rope is very prone to unraveling, so I've taped the ends so it doesn't unravel while you work and while I was measuring them out for you. So basically what you're going to do is coil this up like so, and use your hot glue gun as you go to make it stay together. But as you're coiling, you're going to want to add some colorful embroidery floss. And so also in your kit you're going to get 3 strips of embroidery floss. Each are 36 inches long. So what I did when I made my sample is I cut my 3 colors into 12-inch strips. You can either do that, or you can leave them long, or you could vary the size so that they're not all the same length. And then I went the whole length of my rope and I wrapped the embroidery thread around the rope every few inches. And then now that that's done, I can begin coiling my rope and seeing how that's going to look. And I discovered that it's really hard to just randomly go a few inches and expect the colors to land where you want. So as you can see, I loosely wrapped this one up, and there's a pink next to a pink, and it's not exactly how I planned it. So the next time I do it, I'm going to do a little bit of coiling and then hot gluing, and then when I get to a spot where I think I'd like to add color, I'll just stop the gluing, add the color, and then continue. And I think that way we're going to be able to see better where we want to put the different colors of thread. So let's go ahead and start with that, and I'm going to just snip the end of this off so that we don't see the tape. You could try unwrapping it, but I don't think that'll work very well. And I'm just going to add a little bit of hot glue to the end of that to keep it from unraveling. And then we'll just go ahead and start the coil right with that hot glue that we just placed there. And I think we'll be able to go and wrap it around without actually hot gluing every inch of this. And just wrap it around. And now I think I'm about ready to add a piece of color. So let's wrap this in. And you want to do this on a flat surface. You could try holding it in the air and doing it, but then every so often you should set it on a flat surface and make sure it's not warping or bending. So let's stop here and add a piece of thread that I've already cut this 12 inches long. And the way I did it was I just laid it a little bit sideways and began wrapping it around so that I wrapped right over the end that I'm holding. I didn't actually glue that down. So you see there's the end, and it's getting covered up. And then when I get to the end of it, I'm just going to put a little bit of glue. You can use, I'm going to use Elmer's school glue. On my original sample I used my craft glue, which I recommend, but I didn't bring that with me today, so I'm going to just use school glue. You could also use, see, just a little dab. You could also use Aleene's tacky glue. That would also be a good choice. I'm just going to rub that down and scrunch this in, and we're off and running again. So let's add a little bit of glue right here. That will meet up with that color. And then we can keep wrapping and decide where we want the next piece of color to go. On this particular sample, I'm just using 3 shades of green, and this is just embroidery floss. It's very inexpensive, and so if you don't like the color that happens to be in your kit, you can just run out and get some embroidery floss in your favorite colors. So my first sample, I used a pink and a blue and a aqua, pink aqua, and like a lavender color. And this one I'm going to just use 3 shades of green. And you can think about whether or not you want this craft to be a gift. Perhaps you want to make it a Christmas gift, and you could do red and green colors or wintry colors like shades of blue. You could just make this for a summertime for your patio and use summery colors. So that's just up to you. And so I've got that one down. So we'll go ahead and add some glue here and wrap that around. So I'm going to keep working on this, and we'll check back in a minute to let you know how it's going. Okay, I'm going to finish gluing this coaster and try a technique where I'm going to leave a piece of paper underneath the coaster, and you'll of course want to protect your work surface, whether you use a piece of paper or a cutting board or something, because there will be glue that will seep down onto your work surface. So I'm just twirling the whole paper as I go. I'm not going to try and glue every bit, but I'm trying to put dots around, and it just kind of extends. Now here's a piece that's coming loose, so I'm going to make sure I wrap that around and stick it right in the glue that I just laid down. Okay, we're at the end of our rope and I'm going to snip this taped end off. You're going to want a good sharp pair of scissors for that. And then you also might want to try and angle the end of your rope, kind of a diagonal shape, so that it'll glue down to the remaining edge here. So I'm going to put some glue right on the end so that won't continue to ravel. This is probably going to get a little bit messy. If you let it dry just slightly so it's not going to burn your fingers, then you can work with it a little bit. Or use one of those low temperature glue guns. That still looks kind of hot. So what I want to do is glue it up against the side of the coaster. And then just kind of rub it along the edge so it's smooth, doesn't end up with just a big blob of glue. So something like that. Now the trick with putting gluing it on a piece of paper as as you go is that it is now stuck to the paper. But we're just going to take a pair of scissors and cut around it. You see, I can lift it up in most spots and cut it away. And then you can either peel this paper off, or that's the bottom. Nobody needs to see it. And some people have taken a piece of cork, if you have a circle of cork or a piece of cork board, and you can just glue a piece of cork there. That's another good way to finish off your project. So I think that's kind of cute. And here's my teacup, and it sits right there so nicely on my coaster. And here is the other finished sample that I did with all the greens. And even though I tied the colored string around as I went, I still ended up real close to some of the other colors, but you don't really have to be perfectly symmetrical, and the little pops of color here and there are lovely, so it doesn't have to be perfectly spaced out. So I hope you enjoyed this project, and if you'd like to send me pictures of your finished project, I'd love to see how it turns out. Thanks. Bye.